Own secrets and insights to wellness, one story at a time.
Hello, everyone. This is Cara Raffelli. I'm the co-founder of MyJane, and I also serve as Vice President of Marketing for Manifest 7, the parent company of MyJane. Our mission at MyJane is to unite and empower women through community, education, and exploration of cannabis solutions to address women's biggest health concerns and wellness issues. Like getting a good night's sleep, waking up with fewer aches and pains, managing stress, embracing laughter, and finally, maybe even having the romantic life that we all want. When it comes to cannabis and CBD, there's so much misinformation out there. And we decided we need to come together and share our stories. Stories reside at the heart of our lives. And so we created My Jane, My Story. This is about real life experiences for women so we all can get to know cannabis better and have open dialogue. And as part of that, it's also the understanding that cannabis is unique and very personal to each person. And every journey has its own story. So we welcome our guests and we talk about cannabis in the spirit of openness with no judgment so we can learn and grow together. Today, we're really fortunate to have an amazing woman with us who just epitomizes the idea of grace under pressure. Adrienne Hedger is the founder of Hedger Communications and Hedger Humor. You probably know her work, even if you don't recognize her name. And trust me, women everywhere who Adrienne, a very hearty thank you for kind of representing our lives and making us laugh. She's the award-winning cartoonist behind the popular online comic Hedger Humor, and her work has been featured in BuzzFeed, Disney, HuffPo, Today, Yahoo, Upworthy, you name it, it's probably published her work. And because of that, she has several million followers around the world. And she has a very fresh take on motherhood, on career, on marriage, growing older. And before she launched Hedger Humor, Adrienne was also the lead cartoonist for Nickelodeon's website for parents. She knows her stuff. She's a California native. She's co-authored 3 humor books about parenting published by Andrews McNeil. I don't know if I could give a better introduction from that. So I just want to say thank you for being here today, Adrienne. We're really honored.
Oh, thank you, Cara. It's so fun to be here and to talk to you today. So thanks so much for having me.
I especially am very happy to interview you today because for our MyJane community, Adrienne and I have known each other for about 20 years and began in communications early career. You've then gone on to establish this amazing business that really just touches the heart of women. And we're going to have a very special announcement about how the heart of women is going to be filled with a little bit more joy and laughter because of Adrienne soon. But let's get into it. Okay. So Adrienne, you're kind of famous because your comics, they highlight the ridiculous, dramatic, but really everyday situations that make life interesting and fun and kind of throws a curve every once in a while. So my friend, let's do a little bit of show and tell. We want to know about you, kind of what motivates, what informs your comics, and just tell us a little bit about some of your favorites.
Yeah, so you're right. I have heard people refer to my work as, sort of everyday observational humor of everyday moments. I get that a lot, and I also get, where is the hidden camera in our house? Like that comment, anytime I post a cartoon, I usually get that comment at least once with a lot of question marks after it. And I think the thing is that I really do look for anything in my life that makes me amused or frustrated, or, I just keep a real eagle eye out for what's going on. And for instance, so some of my favorite cartoons that kind of illustrate the type of cartooning and humor that I do, one is coming up with daylight saving time. And it is just a woman, and this is based on me, but it's a woman looking out into the pitch dark night out her window. And she's like, is it midnight? It feels like midnight. And she's sort of freaking out, and her partner says it's 5:27 p.m. So that one is going up. I do that one every year. And I started that maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and it's become sort of a favorite. So I do that one. I do one every month, actually, on the first of every month. And it's just two women. They used to be together at a coffee shop, but now with coronavirus, I have them on the phone with each other. But and one just it's so simple. But one woman says it's October, and then the other one is freaking out and usually spilling her coffee, and she's like, "What?" You know, and it's just the beginning of every month. I say like, you know, it's November, and her friend's freaking out, and so it's the simple things like that that come straight from my life. And then one other example would be, I was watching my kids do their homeschooling. They're teenagers, they're in high school, and their teachers were begging them to anyone say anything, you know? And then I was talking later to my friend who has an elementary school kid, and she's like, you can't believe these elementary school Zooms. They won't stop talking. And so that was the idea of a recent cartoon that did really well, where it was a comparison of elementary school Zoom class versus high school, and how everyone's talking about crazy stuff. In high school, it's just crickets, you know, and the teacher's just like, someone say something. So those are the kinds of things I do. And it is very sort of everyday moments, trying to find the humor there. So
Life of life events. But you know, I think your life just is rich for fodder and great content too. I mean, you're a really strong Generation X woman. You're juggling your career, obviously, your business. You have two teenagers, right? A husband,
Right.
a dog, an extended family, and I know you have a great network of friends that you're really involved in, you know, despite the coronavirus predicament we're all in. How do these
Right.
wonderfully wild and weird experience kind of make their way into your comic? Like, do you approach the idea of I'm going to look for something funny today to translate into a comic, or what's your process?
I mean, I tend to see the world through the lens of cartoons. So right there, I just like, that's sort of how I've always seen things. Like when I first met my husband, one of my very first thoughts about him was, I know exactly how I would draw him. He has sort of a unique face. And I was like, I wish I could go draw that guy right now. And similarly, when I saw our dog at the shelter, I was at the shelter looking at dogs. And when I saw JJ, I was like, that's exactly how I would draw a dog. Like so that's the kind of thing I don't know. I'm always picturing things happening in a cartoon. Like there's sort of like a side world that's going with me all the time where things are a cartoon. And so that's sort of the best way I can describe it. But because of that, I do have a lot of ideas throughout the day. And I used to write them down. I have a cartoon about this. I used to write them down on bits of paper, and you know, and those would get thrown away. But so now I put it all in Evernote, and I just keep track of like anything throughout my day that I picture as a cartoon, but also stories from my friends, and also comments from people who read my cartoons and share their own stories, or their own examples of things I would never have thought, you know. So I might do winter fails, and I'll do a panel of like things that go wrong in the winter, and then the comments, it's like there'll be a whole other cartoon out of the comments because people come up with such great stuff. So I would say part of my work is my family, and I draw us and I draw the dog. That's probably half of my cartoons. And then the other half is just sort of everyday, it's involving random characters doing everyday things. So it's sort of a mesh of like my life and also things I'm observing around. But yeah, it's so fun. It's so fun. And I think even if I didn't cartoon, I would still sort of see the world that way, you know. Thankfully it's a cartoon. So,
Yeah, it sounds like it's your visioning and just your
yeah.
perspective to the world. How
Yeah.
does your family feel about being the subject of many of your cartoons? Do you give
They
them a choice?
well, yeah, I do show them. So when the kids were little, I felt like I sort of had free reign. Those were the glory days where, you know, when they were toddlers, and I was like, this is great. Like they can't read, whatever. And I was never doing anything bad, but it was just like freedom, you know. Now I really do have to run ideas by them. Their friends follow my account, so it's like I don't want to do anything that's gonna embarrass them. Um, and with Jack, you know, say it's like I know some of his work colleagues follow me. So I just have to be mindful of like what I'm doing. And so I will run things by them. And I mean, I can't even remember the last time anything was vetoed. So they enjoy it. And the kids, they follow along and read. And then what's funny though is my husband, he doesn't really follow the cartoons at all. He's supportive of them. He thinks it's great, but he has no idea what I'm putting out there. And if I, sometimes his friends will say like, oh, I saw your wife's cartoon. He's like, I have no yeah, it's just like, that's not, it's funny, it's funny. But yeah, for the most part, they like it. And also it's chronicling our life. I sort of realized that later. That's sort of a side benefit. I'm like, it sort of chronicles some of what's gone on around here. And I was thinking I might just gather some of that up and like print it out for the kids or something, because I sort of accidentally did that too. you know
It's like your memory book in comic format.
Yeah, albeit very ridiculous. Like, I mean, it's skewed toward the absurd, but like it still captures some of what went on around here during, and Kate's leaving next year. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do when they're both gone.
Well, maybe you can have a few more comic series, or maybe your business will grow in the CBD area. Yeah. So, we just love you and love your approach. One of the things that stood out to our My Jane community when you joined us as a speaker for our hemp empowerment monthly mixer earlier this summer, and what stood out was that although you're tackling women's issues, you're not pandering to a funny trope about women, about the modern woman doing it all, and as if it was some 1970s commercial for Charlie's, right? You're real, you're relatable, and you're raw, because you will share when you do things like wearing the same sweatpants for a couple days in a row, or poking fun at yourself. I remember once when you were having issues with your computer and it turns out you just didn't have the Wi-Fi connected. So very relatable things that I think most of us would feel very vulnerable sharing, especially on such a global stage.
Yeah.
But as we started talking, you have a very interesting philosophy that really humor is healing.
Mm-hmm.
And we brought that back, our My Jane community heard that. We brought that back to our team and started talking about it. So, we also wanted to use this time together to launch My Jane's next product. And I'm really excited that we created a first edition collaboration with you. So I know for those listening to a podcast, which is not a visual medium, you won't get to see this, but if you're following along on Facebook Live, this is the She Survival Box by My Jane Hedger Humor Edition. This is released just in time for the holidays, but it's not a seasonal product because, let's face it, we all need healing humor, a really long nap, and CBD right now. I mean, especially after 2020. So I'll just do a quick show and tell. As you can see, there's great drawings on the front from Adrienne. So you get a slice of her comic style on there with a great gift tag for giving. And then what I really like about this collection is My Jane's, we've priced it at $59. So we kind of, we're much like you, Adrienne, with your friends that make comments and just readers who make comments on it. We take all this feedback and realize and make products based on it. So this one is just, it's like, I really want to call it the 2020 special edition too, because with your humor and CBD, we have something that I think every woman needs or should be given. We have a very comedic approach already. This is probably one of my favorite pieces we already had, which is this door hanger, and it's women in serious recovery modes. You put it out when you just tell your family you've had enough.
Yes.
And then this is it. It's the panel that you created just for the My Jane community. This is very humorous take on how to de-stress yourself with the items that are in the My Jane box. And we have a collection of really great pampering items in here. The ever famous and ever needed sleep mask.
Yes.
We have, and we have a vanilla votive. We have the signature My Jane CBD nanotechnology lip balm. We also have a variety of CBD products and capsules, and then also the mantra mask, which is a great skincare regime. Wow. So I think it all culminates though with these additional humorous cards that you developed for us, how to alleviate. And we have the great information about CBD education, but then we also have just really funny takes on how to use the product, both education and humor.
Yeah.
So tell us, this is your first entry into CBD, and this is our first collaboration with an esteemed artist like you.
Uh-huh.
So how did we get here? Tell us why. We were so honored, but tell us why you chose to bring your artistic lens of comedy to our community right now, and how you've been starting to introduce yourself to CBD. I want to hear from you.
Yeah, when I heard about the survival box, okay, first of all, the name was funny. And then when I got into, you had sent me a box to look at, and the whole thing was very funny. I mean, helpful, genuinely good and helpful, but also funny. And so that to me, it resonated because while 2020 is not a laughing matter. Like, I mean, this is a tough year. So you've got you've got the coronavirus, the kids at home. So you've got work, family, you've got the stresses in the general world. There is a lot. And I think, and we had talked about how self-care is just like at the bottom of the list at this point, but it's actually the thing that helps us get through all that other stuff. And so I saw this as a chance to, because I really do think, and just in my own life, like humor helps me get through the tough times.
Yeah.
That just like for my whole life, that's been the case. So I saw this as a chance to say, like, let's use the healing power of humor and marry it up with the healing of CBD and bring them together. I mean, I just think that's such a unique take. And the box, it seemed like the perfect, like you said, there's like little things in there that I've drawn and written to help you. So you're using the products and you're also maybe displaying these little cards to remind you to like take a breath and do things like that. And so I don't know. I do think it's the perfect antidote for 2020. If ever a survival box was needed, it's now. So I thought it would be a lot of fun. And it was. I mean, working with you guys has been great. And I think we share a similar take on all of this, which is be genuinely helpful, but also with like a side of humor to the whole thing. So
Yeah. I sometimes call it a wink and a nod, or a wink and a snark. Yeah.
Because I do
a wink and a snark.
Yeah, like it's not to make light of serious situations, but it's like recognizing and acknowledging that like humor has a place, even in really tough times. Like it really does kind of just it makes you relax a little bit or shift your perspective. So yeah, I think it's definitely, I like that wink and nod. That's kind of what we're going for. So
that's what we're going for. I'm so happy that we brought this collection to life with you. It's a very special collaboration, not only because of 2020, but as we are teaching and educating about wellness, certainly plant-based wellness with CBD, but it's really the taking care of the whole person. And as women, I always like to say, women are the best at putting themselves last.
exactly.
Even though we have wellness gurus and medical professionals touting the importance of self-care, we're usually not doing it because we're putting somewhere else first.
Right.
And, by you stepping up and sharing your story and making your very brave step into the world of CBD, we're hoping it really will inspire other women. And so they feel at ease just saying, I'm taking some me time as a declarative statement without any guilt or drama, like it's nothing.
Right.
I'm walking to the car.
Right.
I'm taking some me time without guilt. So yeah, how do you do that?
Well, okay. So, I mean, I've actually used some of the products in the box even. When I'm doing the candle, whenever I work, I light the candle. And I also love that lip balm that you showed. What I'm doing with some of the box items is when I use the lip balm, I actually say to myself, relax as I use it. Like that's sort of like paired with using the lip balm. I'm like, relax, and it's just, I don't know, it's just like a silly thing, but it actually kind of does help.
That works.
Yeah, it does work. But yeah, I think it's important, and you can grab little moments here and there, which is what I do, because you can't always predict what's going to happen when you've got a busy day. But I'll even take like just 10 minutes over with the dog, petting the dog. And, you know, that type of stuff, maybe you get home from somewhere and you stay in the car for like a few minutes to listen to a podcast or whatever you're doing. I'm a big fan of like fitting it in where you can. And I think some of the items in the box like fit with that as well. So that's another reason I like that.
Our half hour has gone by so quickly.
Oh
We only have a
God.
minute. I know we only have a minute more or so. But
Oh.
one of the items in the box I actually love is the Canaflora Essentials. It's a Be Calm inhalation pouch, and you have this now too. And you know, it's melt away stress. And what I love to do is I also keep this with me. And when things become stressful,
Oh yeah.
inhale. You know, even if it's 30 seconds, somehow it resets you.
Yeah.
Well, Adrienne, yes.
So there you go. We have the card that says breathe, and you can breathe in the
breathe and breathe that exactly, and that's exactly it. How can people get a hold of you, Adrienne, or if they want to look at your work?
Well, yeah, the best way is my website, hedgerhumor.com, Hedger. And from there you can launch into, you know, Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. But that's really my main hub is hedgerhumor.com. So that's
okay, very good. And right now, before we go, I do want to ask, you told me a darling story about you needing to spend the night in the living room with your dog. And how did you fall asleep?
Okay, yeah, the light was flickering, so I went and grabbed the My Jane mask, which I couldn't believe. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have the mask. Put it on, boom, I was done. It's so funny. I don't have a mask until you sent me that one. So yeah, I was with the dog. It's a whole long story, but the mask saved me from this super annoying flickering light, and I was very thankful. I did file that away to tell you because I'm like, how random. I mean, what the
That
heck?
is so great. That is so great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. You know, you've allowed us to share your life with you and really kind of share some of your secrets, which is so powerful for a healing community and a community that's focused on wellness. So I do want to just end with what we're talking about today is the She Survival Box. So it's live on our website right now and at myjane.com. It's only $59. I love how you said it. You know, we're creating this kind of a wink and a nod and giving women permission to indulge in self-care. Kind of great for anyone that's having a rough time this year. And I don't know anyone who isn't. But it's also the idea of, I'm getting one for myself because those are the days that I want to give myself permission to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up here, how are the holidays going to look for you? Are you focusing on kind of wellness for everyone?
I do think my themes this year for gifts are wellness. They're home-based. Trying to think of what people can do at home to be well and happy. And so I'm just starting my list for people, but that's definitely, you know, we're all at home, we're all stressed. So it seems to me like that's the perfect sort of gift zone to go in is like, how can you be cozy, healthy, peaceful at home? So that definitely, that's where my gift giving is going to be this year. So, you know.
So I have to ask, if I was on your holiday card list, would I be receiving comics this year for the holidays too?
Oh, well, I think that's in order, Kara. Yeah, I do. I think that I have not gone through that, but I like where you're heading. So yes. Yeah.
It could be a My Jane, My Story, My Holiday Season.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
I want to share one more thing too. One of the reasons I know you chose to partner with us and we wanted to align our brands is because you have such a giving heart too, and there's so much more generosity, but really lies at the heart of your business and your life. And My Jane has a partnership with International Sanctuary, and International Sanctuary is a remarkable organization that is helping women and young girls who have been the victims of human trafficking to become survivors and to really be able to live their best lives again. So My Jane has partnered, and a portion of the sale of each box actually goes to International Sanctuary. So in our box is a piece of jewelry that was developed by their brand called Purpose, and survivors of human trafficking actually make the bracelet. So it's this beautiful hammered brass bracelet, and it says "Handmade with Love" by Lytton, who is the young woman that was part of this program and is changing her life by using and learning this skill.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, that's fantastic.
yeah, really beautiful, really beautiful. And I know that giving back is also core to Hedger humor, and just the idea of looking at the world at how we can have a giving heart and a healthy heart and a wellness heart now for laughter.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If there's one thing my cartoons show me, it's we're all the same. You know, when I get comments from all over the world, it's like we're all the same. We're all in it together. And so yeah, we have to support each other. And I just love that about the box too. So
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so we know where we can find you. And once again, myjane.com is where you can find our box, the She Survival Box Hedger Humor Edition. It's just released right now for the holidays, but I have a feeling it's going to be a fan favorite and be available for a long time to come.
great.
So, Adrienne, any last words for the MyJane community? I know we're going to be seeing a lot more of you, especially over the next couple of months, but what's your message to the MyJane community about wellness and laughter?
Yeah, deep breath, find the humor, it's there. Maybe it comes a little later as you're reflecting on it, but deep breath and find that humor. So that's how I go about things.
All right. Thank you so much, Adrienne. And thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in to My Jane, My Story. If you want to learn more, you can join the My Jane community at myjane.com. Get instant access to our Facebook group, Facebook community, educational resources, and updates on My Jane products and special events. And for personal attention right now, you can also pick up the phone and call 833-MyJane2. That's MYJANE2. And speak to your own wellness concierge, because it's time to own your wellness. Be well.